will I do? When will I know? Take me higher. There's gotta be more. Gotta be more. There's gotta be more. I need a higher definition than what it seems. There's gotta be more. Gotta be more.
Take me higher, yeah. There's gotta be more. There's gotta be more. I wanna know beyond all the rules and even past the school. I wanna know more, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I need a higher definition. Higher definition. Searching for more. When will I find it? When will I see it? What will I do? When will I know? Take me higher. There's gotta be more. Gotta be more. There's gotta be more. I need a higher definition than what it seems. There's gotta be more. Gotta be more.
Come on and take me higher, yeah. There's gotta be more. There's gotta be more. I wanna know beyond all the rules and even past the school. I wanna know more, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I need a higher definition. Higher definition. I've been searching for more. When will I find it? When will I see it? What will I do? When will I know? Take me higher. There's gotta be more. Gotta be more. There's gotta be more. I need a higher definition than what it seems. There's gotta be more. Gotta be more.
Come on and take me higher, yeah. There's gotta be more. There's gotta be more. I wanna know beyond all the rules and even past the school. I wanna know more, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I need a higher definition. Higher definition. There's gotta be more. Gotta be more.
Come on and take me higher, yeah. There's gotta be more. There's gotta be more. I wanna know beyond all the rules and even past the school. I wanna know more, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I need a higher definition. Higher definition.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Exploring Greek Life Sorority Edition. My name is Marilyn Martin, and I will be your host for this evening. Before we get started with introductions, I do want to state that the views of those of us who are on the panel this evening are expressly from our personal experiences, and we do not represent our organizations either nationally or locally. We do not speak on behalf of any of our organizations that we're affiliated with. So without further ado, I will introduce the guest panelists tonight. And I will start with Miss Regina Brackett. Good evening, Regina.
Hello.
So Regina Brackett is a native of Rock Hill, South Carolina, and a spring 2022 initiate of the Pi Rho chapter at USC Upstate of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. She is currently a member of the Delta Xi Zeta chapter in Rock Hill, South Carolina. She recently graduated from USC Upstate with a Bachelor's of Science in Exercise Science and strives to have a career that aligns with her passion of making a difference in the lives of young people in her community. So again, welcome, Regina, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Our next panelist is Miss Asia Cook, or Soror Asia Cook, as I can call her. Asia is a proud native of Camden, South Carolina, and a dedicated HR professional who focuses on both business and people strategy. She holds a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Business Administration from Winthrop University. Go Eagles. Asia currently serves as an HR generalist at GHY International, a leading customs brokerage headquartered in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where she supports talent development and organizational growth. She is a Society for Human Resource Management certified professional committed to excellence in the field of human resources. So welcome, Asia, and thank you for being here this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Asia became a member of Delta Sigma Theta in the fall of 2012 through the Gamma Alpha chapter at Xavier University of Louisiana. And today, she's an active member of the Camden Alumni chapter, where she serves as the corresponding secretary and chairs both the Communications and Technology and Membership Services committees. In recognition of her leadership and service, she was honored as the chapter's 2024 Soror of the Year. Congratulations on that.
Thank
and
you.
Outside of work, enjoys, that's a big deal in our sororities for anyone who doesn't know.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Outside of work and service, Asia enjoys quality time with loved ones, caring for her growing collection of houseplants, catching up on primetime TV, and exploring her love of cooking, though she'll be the first to admit she's not a fan of doing the dishes. Neither am I, Sora. Neither am I.
Absolutely not.
Our next guest is Ms. Danielle Lennon. Danielle, welcome, Danielle. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Danielle Lennon considers herself Bayou made in Chucktown, Charleston, South Carolina raised. She holds a BA in history in secondary education and an MED in curriculum instructional leadership, both from Winthrop University. Again, go Eagles. From an early age, her passion has been education and women's empowerment. Upon graduation from Winthrop, Danielle served as an educator in the Fort Mill district for 12 years. In 2015, Danielle was selected via a rigorous process to serve as the District Teacher of the Year. Oh my gosh, congratulations. That is amazing.
I was in the district. She was.
She was the first.
I was there. Yeah.
Sorry. You're fine. She was the first African American to hold the position since the district's formal formation in 1930. Wow, trailblazing. She now serves as the Social Studies Curriculum Specialist in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, in which she supports over 300 teacher leaders and administrators in the 14th largest school district in the United States. Wow. While her work in education fuels her passion, her community activism is at the core of her why. Danielle has served on the board of the Foundation for Fort Mill Schools and was the former director over the South Carolina Strawberry Pageant from 2021 to 2025, which is the largest event only next to the South Carolina Strawberry Festival itself. Danielle also owned a clothing store in Springfield Town Center for 4 years, in which she brought modern classic style to Fort Mill. She is a proud and active member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated and the Beta Omicron Sigma chapter in Charlotte, North Carolina, and serves alongside her sister moms in the Upper Palmetto chapter of Jack and Jill's membership committee. She is happily married to Andre Lennon. What does PE stand?
Oh, professional engineer.
Okay, professional engineer, and and has two beautiful children, Jasmine Leola Mary Lennon, and who's 13, and Andre Langston the second, who's 8. She has lived in the Fort Mill area since 2005, and Danielle believes that to whom much is given, much is required. Service is her jam. Welcome, Danielle. We're so glad to have you this evening. And last but certainly not least, we want to introduce Miss Melody Sumter. Welcome to the show, Melody.
Thank you, Dr. Martin.
You're welcome. Melody Sumter has lived and worked in the Rock Hill, Charlotte area for the past 24 years. Melody attended Winthrop University from 1996 and 1998, go Eagles, and then transferred to the Medical College of Georgia in Augusta, Georgia, where she received her Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree. Melody has worked in many areas of nursing, including clinical nursing, case management, compliance, quality, administration, and most recently as a nursing educator. Melody received her Master of Science in Nursing degree from Queen's University of Charlotte with a concentration in health systems management. After working in nursing academia for several years, Melody later completed the Education Specialist EDS degree from Liberty University in 2024. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Melody's most important and significant accomplishment is that of being a mother to her daughter, Michaela, and son, Martin. Melody had the honor and privilege of becoming a member of the first and finest sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, as a graduate member in 2013. She joined via the Eta Alpha Omega chapter in Rock Hill, South Carolina, where she quickly began working in the chapter's health program initiatives. Melody remains an active and dedicated member of the Eta Alpha Omega chapter and continues to grow in service and leadership by attending local, regional, and international conferences over the last 11 years. Melody has also served in the Omega Tau Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Welcome, Melody. We're so glad to have you this evening.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor, Dr. Martin.
Absolutely. All right. I guess I'll give a little intro about myself. That will be, I'm a returning guest on this show, so some people already have some background about me, but I will say that professionally, I'm an educator in different spaces. I have a beautiful son, Bryson, who just graduated from Coastal Carolina University, go Shants. And from a service standpoint, I was initiated into the Xi Beta chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, Sorority Incorporated. Hey, Dee, thanks for watching. In the fall of 1999, my line sisters and I celebrated our 25th anniversary in November of last year. So, and I continue to serve in the Rock Hill Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, where I serve on a couple of committees, including chair of the nominating committee and the immediate past president. So I am glad to be here with you ladies tonight. So let's get started. Enough with introductions. So first talking point or question. So what interested you ladies in joining a sorority? And we'll start with you, Regina.
So my my mother is a member of Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and my father is a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. So Greek life is something that I've always been around. As a young child, I've always been there, right there with my parents along the way. So going to college, it was something that I knew that I wanted to do. But after doing my research, because I didn't want to do it just because my parents were in the organization, I wanted to have a reason for myself. So, doing my research and specifically with Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, I love the aspect of empowering other women, and as well as like the community service and the sisterhood as well. It was something that I I needed to do.
Nice. Asia, what about you?
Yeah, I have to pretty much take Regina's answer. My mother is also a member of Delta Sigma Theta. So, just growing up in the house with her, as well as my father, who is a member of Omega Psi Phi, I've always had the, strong, these are professional, educated, people who get things done in my life. So, but not only that, I participated in Delta Gyms, and I think that had a really big impact on me. Even going into college, I met some wonderful ladies as a member, as a gym, and they were just examples of everything that I wanted to be at the time. They were strong, they had voices, they were professional, they were fun, and they were like me. They were Black. And growing up in a town where we're not the minority. I mean, not the majority, we're the minority. It's different to see that when you're used to seeing one thing. So being able to just have those impactful women in my life, when the opportunity came, I actually even called one of them up, like, okay, well, I'll call my mom first, of course. But I called another one of the now sorors that I met as a gym, and I'm like, okay, there's this opportunity. What do I do? But I just always knew that I wanted to have that same impact, especially on young women's lives. And so, that's kind of what led me down the path of Delta Sigma Theta.
Nice, very nice. And I don't think I realized you were a Coleman kid. So cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And just for a point of reference, before we move on to Melody and Danielle to answer the same question. So Delta Gyms is a national program of our sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and it caters to high school young girls. And so we have a program for high school girls, as well as Delta Academy for middle school age girls. And then more recently, we actually have a youth initiative program for young males as well. It's called Embody. And so just wanted to explain what you were saying when you said Delta Gyms. We have a youth program so that, and it does expose you at an early age. And I don't think it's necessarily about, joining the same organization. It's about seeing people who will look like you doing all these things, and you are learning to serve alongside them. And so it definitely teaches you how to be a servant leader. So just wanted to plug that in. Melody, what about you and your journey? What led you to join?
Yes. So I will say that we did not have, Greek. We didn't grow up in a Greek family, as our two ladies have shared formerly. And so my view personally of a Greek lettered sorority was based on proximity, if you will. So there were ladies in our church who were women of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. We had teachers who were women of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. My bestie and her mother was a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So it was something that I had always seen and admired from afar, if you will. And when I became an adult, I didn't get a chance to pledge because I had to went to nursing school and really kind of the whole college life thing just went away from me at that time. I'll be honest. So I focused on my profession first, but kind of came back to me just realizing that, our organizations are not they just don't end in college like some other Greek lettered, the non-Panhellenic organizations do. And so I began to kind of do my own research personally, realizing that after I had my daughter, I wanted to pass on something special for her. And so that's when, I started looking into AKA and realized that it was more aligned with, what I was looking for Greek letter organizations. All of them are fabulous, but that was one that just kind of tugged on my heart a little bit more than the others. And so I joined as an adult, which I think is a different view than pledging undergrad. And y'all can talk about that later. But I feel like I had to have a different level of commitment, and they really, really, when we were coming through our process, really emphasized lifelong commitment. And to this day, I think that's the reason why I love AKA so much, is because as an adult when you make those sacrifices. And I had a young family. My baby boy was literally 7 months old when I joined AKA. So to have the women rally around me and to just kind of inherit a family of sisters, extra sisters, it was really a great time in my life for me. And I've never regretted it, not once.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. And Danielle, what about you?
I love this question because I get it probably at least once or twice a week. Because people are like, oh, I've seen your letters or I've seen. So it's pretty cool. I feel like I've been Greek adjacent most of my life. Like I did Miss Jabberwock. I was Miss Kappa Alpha Psi. I was an Arcanet coming up. So I got to see a lot of sides, although my parents weren't Greek. Once I went to Winthrop University, I was like, well, okay, I think I know. But the thing they stressed most was do your research. So I read everybody's book. And when I got to Sigma Gamma Rho and that history of being on a white campus during the 20s when the Klan was coming after them and still moving forward. And my life's call is in education. My sororities happen to be founded by 7 beautiful Pearl educators. So it kind of just made complete sense. All of the D9 sororities and fraternities are great. We do service, sisterhood, but this just stood out as I always saw myself as a trailblazer and kind of moving despite challenges that were in our way. There was no one to support my pearls on campus. So it was a beautiful story and it lined up. I also want to pass it on with my daughter. She's a rower. So hopefully, just like Melody said, having something to pass on to generation. And I just became a life member of my sorority, which is a huge in May. So I'm a super like when I type my name in, I put life member number 2414. But yes. I've been in for 20 some years now. I'm also a Ruby. So it's for life, still active and excited to be here.
Nice. Awesome. So a couple of things that you all said that I wanted to kind of piggyback off on, and Melody and Danielle mentioned, anytime you're joining really any organization, but definitely one where you are expected to make it a lifetime commitment, you got to do your research, right? And so as powerful as I believe being a legacy is, you want to make sure that the organization fits your needs at the time that you're considering joining them. And so like Melody said, as a mom and a wife and a full-time employee, her organization worked better for her. Whereas for me on the collegiate side, Delta Sigma Theta worked better for me was what I was looking for at the time. And so I just want to make sure everybody understands that our organizations are lifetime commitments, right? And even when life happens, as I mentioned during my introduction, I have a son. So there were some years where I couldn't be active or because I was raising him. And when life happens, the good thing about our sororities and fraternities, when we have to make adjustments and kind of fall back, the sororities and fraternities, they'll be there when we're ready to step back in. And so I'm just grateful that my chapter loved on me when I wasn't financial, when I was just showing up to serve. And when I came back and was ready to hit it, they were there. And so just want to make sure everyone understands our why and kind of the setup of our sororities. So I will move on. If no one else has anything to add for that question, I'll move on to our second talking point. And that one is, how has your involvement in your sorority impacted your life, both personally and professionally? And we'll start with you on this one, Danielle.
Professionally, believe it or not, my first job out of Winthrop, my teaching internship was at Gold Hill Middle School in Fort Mill. The assistant principal was Dr. James White, and he was very much Phi Beta Sigma down. And so myself and my close friend, she's a Zeta, her name is Rosalind, we were teaching together and living together at the time. And we both interviewed for different grades. And then he looked down at my resume and goes, Sigma Gamma Rho? I said, yes, sir. He said, Theta, I know your sorors. Thank you. The interview is done. It's
Oh, wow.
that was pretty. I had the grades and all the practices and had all that, but I think that nailed it for both Roz and I. So that's how it's influenced me professionally. That's how I got my first job. He was like, "Oh, that's great," you know. So the networking is absolutely amazing, and not only with just my organization, it wasn't even mine. It was, Phi Beta Sigma. So that's how my experience. And personally, it's being able to have that impact and serve in so many ways and try and go to BA and go to Google and meet people, meet my Koreans, like, and that I can't even, see their language, but we're wearing those same letters. And it was beautiful. So it proves that life is so much bigger than you and you have an impact on that. So that's how it's affected me personally.
Awesome. Great answer. Thank you, Danielle. What about you, Melody? I'll repeat the question in case you missed some of it. How has your involvement in a sorority impacted your life, both personally and professionally?
Oh, that's a heavy one. So personally, I will say that it has added such richness and depth to my life. Just all of the sorors that I have met along the journey, um, learning more about myself as a leader, the things that I have been exposed to in ways that I've grown and really stretched myself, to be honest, since I've becoming a member of this great sorority. I've had the pleasure of being able to serve in leadership positions on our program side and our operational side. And so having the boast of both of those worlds and seeing all of the work that goes into what we do has really just grown me personally and has given me um, something that I kind of wear with pride, honestly. And so knowing that I'm a part of the bigger picture for my chapter, right? And a very small part of the really, really big picture internationally, but still an active and financial member well. And then from a professional standpoint, I will have to say that I have probably felt the impact of being a member of this organization more as a nursing educator than as a bedside nurse or in my nursing positions, because honestly, as a nurse, I didn't wear it on my sleeve. Literally, I didn't, really wear a lot of nail. Yeah, we couldn't. But as an educator, when I've had my office, AKA is going up everywhere. Okay, AKA educator, house pad, So it is I'm like, I have my space now. I get to decorated it with pink and green all over. And so when students come into my office, oh, Miss Sumter, you're an AKA? Absolutely. What do you know about that? I always wanted to be one. Or I know so AKA, or especially when, Sister Harris was in the White House, it was just kind of a piece of conversation for my students. And so really seeing their faces light up when they see my lanyard, because I still wear my lanyard, in my current job. You're AKA? Yes, ma'am, I am. Oh, that's awesome. And just hearing students kind of give accolades to my organization without even really knowing what it's about. But from their comments and the way they ask, I know that it is in a positive light, right? And so that makes me feel the more better about being part of such an amazing organization.
Nice. Thank you, Melody. What about you, Regina?
Thank you.
Personally, I was initiated as a freshman, my spring semester of my freshman year. So coming in, of course, I didn't really know many people. I was new, nobody knew me. So it gave me something bigger than myself. While, some people say you're paying for friends, it was never that. It was the opportunity to be someone bigger than myself. So personally, it helped me to transition to college. It helped me to build that confidence. It helped me to, put myself out there, put my name out there, as well as leadership on a professional level. I not long after I was initiated, I was asked to be the South Carolina executive assistant for our state of South Carolina. So
Awesome.
from that point, thank you. From that point, since I've really pretty much joined, I have been, working with our state director, Dr. Retha Nesbitt, helping her with things. So even to this point today, I've also worked on the Southeastern Region Protocol team. I've also worked at Boulay with the protocol team. So it exposed me to different aspects to help me grow, to learn, and definitely brought me out of my comfort zone. It's a lot of I didn't want to do, but I had to do it, or I did do it, or I wanted to, or later wanted to do it, and it helped me to be the person that I am today.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing, and congratulations on serving at the state and regional levels. That's huge as well.
Thank you.
Asia, what about the impact it's had on your life professionally and personally?
Yeah, I feel like me and Regina, we seem like we just kind of live in mirrored lives, but I do believe that personally, one of the things that becoming a member of my organization did was it helped me find my voice. And I say this because, growing up, I was quiet. I was always the shy girl, and almost like, how you take a label and you own it. So I went into college just kind of owning that and still feeling like that person. But I crossed early too. I was a sophomore fall and was kind of instantly pushed into some things. I transferred to Winthrop and Xi Beta, and I was put in a position to lead the chapter almost immediately. And so from there, I just really feel like being a member of the organization just really got me out of my comfort zone, like you said, Regina. I feel like I blossomed as a person and really kind of just found myself, and not just with Delta, but as a person, like I always used to say, I'm still just Asia. I have these beautiful letters to wear, but I'm still myself and finding myself through avenues in Delta. So through leading, through having to interact with people on a more regular basis that I wouldn't normally interact with. And definitely even now I'm in a chapter and I'm one of the younger people in my chapter. And I feel like, having all these women to look up to is very impactful in my life because I have things I can look forward to, advice I can get. They've all taken me under their wing. So I have so many moms and aunties that I just really just have so much support in my personal life that, I'm just continuing to, then it just falls into my professional life, the leadership, that natural, I wouldn't want to say takeover spirit. That might have something to do with me being a first child. Big sister too, but just naturally leading, and a lot of that comes from the tools that I learned from being a Delta, learning from older sorors, and Danielle mentioned the network too. Just having that network, I've definitely walked into rooms and they're like, "Oh, you're a Delta? All right, well that solves a lot of things, like those job interviews." I had that opportunity. The first job that I worked ended up being a manager. The interview was with the soror, and she was like, Asia, you're a little timid. It was a sales job. She's like, you're a little quiet. Like I said, I was a little shy. She took a chance on me. And she really impacted me through that, that position as well. But if it wasn't for her, I might not even got that job, and who knows where I could have ended up. So all of it just kind of ties together.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of you. The networking is hands down probably one of the best experiences that I have had in my sorority. And so to your point, Asia, and to Danielle's point, I think my first teaching job was a soror made the connection for me. She worked at York Tech, and I wanted to teach part-time to see if that was something I wanted to do. And yeah, she made the connection between me and the department chair, and the rest is history. And so I always give her credit for actually starting my teaching career. Her name is Soror Edwina Roseboro Barnes, for those who haven't guessed who I'm talking about, but she was a longtime HR person there at York Tech. And we were literally at a retreat. We weren't even talking at a event where we were talking about business and professional. We were at a retreat. We were just walking and talking, which is what a lot of these connections do. We're in these settings with other people. And she said, send me your resume or I'll send it to. And next thing you know, I don't even think, I'm not going to say that. Next thing you know, I got a phone call, and I will schedule classes repeatedly, semester after semester. And so this is year 11 now, I think, for me, that I'm actually teaching in addition to what I do professionally. So yeah, the networking is hands down one of the best things I think about our organizations. And then to your point, as far as you being shy and kind of wanting to get out of your comfort zone, one of the things I do want to say is that we have a saying that, we make the letters don't make us. And so joining our sororities and fraternities should enhance us as human beings, right? It should not ever be just, to join just to say we're affiliated with something. So it's, I want to make sure that people understand, people understand that, this, if you're looking to be, and I understand people want to be a part of something, right? But if you're looking to be a part of something that where you're not going to be held at a higher standard, this is probably not the avenue for you, because we wear these letters. We also have a saying that says we're always wearing our letters. So whether we have our nail you own tonight or not, everybody probably knows which organizations we're part of. And so we have to not just protect our personal brand as people, but we have to protect the brands of the sororities that we're affiliated with. So I wanted to just kind of put that plug in there before we move on to our next point. So who do I start with? Who haven't I started with? Asia? Have I started with you? No, I haven't. Asia, what are a few highlights? I don't think so. Of your experience being in a sorority? Just a couple, one or two.
Well, I would say the first kind of major highlight is when I transferred to Winthrop. I think that was kind of I know Winthrop. It made a big impact on my life. But
I didn't get a sign. Yeah,
right. Our new hand signal. But I transferred to Winthrop. I had just crossed. I'd been in the chapter about a year when I left. So I was still new. I was still a baby in Delta. And I walked in. My mom even talked me into it. I had orientation. She's like, "Where's some letters? That'll help you meet friends." And again, I'm still a little timid. So I'm like, "Okay, I guess, Mom." And in the cafeteria, somebody walks up to me. Jaleesa, I don't know, Paul, she was just crossing the spring right before. So right after me, I was fall 12, they were spring 13. They just had a line. And she's like, "Hey, you're a Delta. I don't know you. Come and sit with us and eat with us." And it was like the beginning of the end, So they just really welcomed me and embraced me, and it just made things so much more comfortable for me and made my transition from leaving everything that I knew behind. And I was sad about that. I didn't have a really great, I'm transferring because I wanted to, I could go on for days about that, but, so I wasn't really excited, but I was there where I was. And, that specifically spring 13 really just took me under their wing and made a really positive impact on me. And then it just kind of highlighted the sisterhood overall. You don't have to just be it's not cliquey. People on the outside, they're like, "Oh, y'all are all clicked up and y'all." No, it's not that. It's a big sisterhood. There's a lot of us. So yes. That was a really positive point. And it just kind of just showed that example of, like I said, sisterhood. And I would say the next highlight was last year, 2024. So I joined Camden Alumni a couple of years ago. I would say about 3. I've been visiting with them. I graduated from college in 2017, but then I moved to Myrtle Beach. I was there for a few years, came back to Camden. So I started visiting with the chapter, and then I joined. And instantly, I'm sure someone, and there was like, "Who's this little ball of fire?" But again, they took me under their wing, and they just really made me feel comfortable, made me feel welcome. And I just took that and ran with it. And with that, last year I won Soror of the Year for our chapter. And it just really, thank you. It, you don't want to say you feel validated or valued, but it does. It does feel good to have that pat on the back sometimes. And when you work hard, and I work real hard for Delta, we don't get paid any money. Nobody's cutting any checks from headquarters. This is all in our free and spare time. So that was a really highlight for me, and just continues to just push me to strive to do bigger, better, all those good things. So.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Asia, and congratulations again on winning Soror of the Year. That is a major accomplishment in our sororities. Yeah. What about you, Melody? What are a couple of your highlights since you've been a member of your sorority?
So many. Definitely the sisterhood piece, right? When you join with your lines, our co-initiates, excuse me, that is a group of ladies that you have all gone through this journey with, and you bonded, right? And so, one of the biggest part of my highlights is just getting together with my co-initiates. We used to try to get together a couple times a year, if nothing else, around Founders Day and around our anniversary. And so just always having that to look forward to see them around those times of year is definitely a highlight of my life. And then the conferences. When I tell you I was blown away the first conference I went to, our regional conferences for the South Atlantic, they have been fire, and so they're actually a little addictive, if I might say, because you go and you see all the theatrics and, they pull out all the stops. But it is a time that we as sisters get together and we are learning about the sorority. We are handling the business of the sorority, but we're also having fun as well. And they make sure they include many sisterly relations elements to those conferences. So it's not just our chapter sorors. We're meeting sorors from all other states in our region. And when you start going on the conference circuit, as I call it, you get used to seeing some of the same people from different states, whether it's Georgia, or Florida. You're like, I remember we took a picture together, a couple years ago. So just that camaraderie amongst our regional sorors and, having that to look forward to. And that's always a layer of growth for me. Every time I went to a conference, I learned something new about my organization that I could come back and utilize in my current leadership role. So.
Nice. Thank you for sharing, Melody. Danielle, a couple of highlights that you've had in yours as a member of your sorority.
I love that question too. This is so special. I love that question. My sister is my legacy, my first legacy. She was inducted into the same chapter at Winthrop, Lambda Kappa. And so how amazing is that your sister did the same thing? So going to see her neophyte presentation and just being there through the whole gambit, that was just awesome. Then I get to go with my sister. You would have to be inducted in the right time to be able to celebrate our 100th centennial. Like, oh my gosh. And you have to just have entered at the right time and to be at the right place to be able to attend your sorority centennial. So me and my sister went together, and it was just mind blowing being a centennial with that is the biggest. The stars were out like it was, we took over the city. It was amazing. And then lastly, being able to pin my daughter into the rower club and welcome her in. So I have so many from undergrad and then grad now, but those were the two largest. Just thinking about it just gets me emotional. I was like, I can't believe it.
I love it. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. And what about yourself, Regina?
I have so many from day one.
It's hard to dwindle it down. Yeah, it is.
I mean, from the beginning of my mom being there, another one of I call her my aunties, being there with me as I go over. That was a big moment. Being able to be membership intake coordinator and bring in two ladies, that was a great opportunity. Helped me grow. And I think the biggest is recently my little brother, he completed our family. He crossed Phi Beta Sigma and the same chapter that his dad chartered. So being there all together, it was what better can you get?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I love it.
And I feel like while he's not in the same sorority, he's not in a sorority, he's in a fraternity, but we're connected, constitutionally bound, the first and only, only. Yeah. But right, that's he. It's big. And then my last one, is just the impact, even with my students. You know, I was a substitute teacher. I work with kids. Even with my church, and oh, Miss Brackett, let me see you do a stroll. Let me see what you be doing, and explaining to them that it's bigger than the strolling. It's bigger than being just having the letters across my chest. It's about the service. It's about the sisterhood. So yes,
Absolutely.
sorry, that was a lot.
No, that's fine. I knew that question was going to kind of have a lot of, because how can you choose, especially the longer that you've been in the sorority? And I'll just add to, thank you all for sharing to the responses. I would say if I had to choose highlights, there's three that I'll just speak of briefly. First one being to Melody's point, my first conference. Regional conference. I think it was in 2014. So I call myself a late bloomer to the conference cycle party. I went to cluster meetings and things of that nature. But again, when life is life, and you do what you can, and I, served more on the local level. And so 2014 was my first regional conference. And then 2015 was my first national convention. So to see the Sea of White, to see sorors from all over, international, we're international sorority. So some of our sorors come from other countries, and territories. And so it was just mind blowing that not only that they're all mostly Black women, but all of us have the same level of commitment to attend these conferences and conventions. And so meeting people, different perspectives, workshops, all the things that we are privy to as members, it just was the pinnacle for me. So that was the first one. The second one was like Asia. I was Soror of the Year for my chapter, Rock Hill Alumni, in 2015. So that was unexpectedly, actually. I think I was serving as second vice president at the time, but we just serve. We enjoy serving, so I just saw the need and stepped up. And yes, the chapter acknowledged it. To your point, we don't need it, but it does feel good, and people see you working so hard. And then my third and final one that I'll share is this year, 24-25 academic year, I had the pleasure and honor to advise the chapter where I was initiated at Psi Beta. So getting having a chance to see the sorority from a different side. So advising versus actually doing and implementing were two different hats, and one that I had to kind of work on throughout the year. So it's an honor anytime I get to serve and be a mentor to my sorority sisters. So those are my three highlights, if I had to narrow it down. Next question. So our sororities, as we all mentioned, we're all public service sororities. And so that means that our primary goal is to serve people. And so I would love for you ladies to share one or two initiatives that your sorority does either locally or regionally or nationally that you feel very proud of, or that you may be a part of. And so we'll start with you, Regina.
I love the Adopt a School. I know my local chapter, Delta Psi Zeta, we participate with that with the school in Rock Hill, as well as the undergrad chapter. I have a lot of undergrad stories just because I just graduated. But my undergrad chapter, we also had a school as well. So going to donate stuff, donate items, participate in activities, etc. That's something big just because, as Dr. Martin stated in my bio, I'm passionate about making a difference in children's lives or young people's lives in general. So just being able to provide for those that may not need, and then Marshall Downs as well is a big one that we participate in, which I love the idea of that and the concept of that. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Regina. What about you, Melody?
So under our Strengthening Our Sisterhood initiative, we have a couple of things that we do for our sisters. And so one is what we call random acts of kindness. And I have actually been the recipient of that from a couple of sorors since that has started. And it's blessed me so much that sorors don't know when they're texting me or when they're giving me the little trinkets, how much it means to me. And it's just random, they might bring it to a chapter meeting or a committee meeting and they'll just kind of say, here's Rommel. And I'm like, what is this? And so that is actually the foundational initiative for our current administration, just to strengthen our sisterhood. And then we have one, it's called We Are One, which is about our MLK Day of Service that usually is around our Founders Day, January 15th. Where we're always giving back to the community. We usually choose a couple of different organizations to serve, and it is just a massive day of service for our chapter. And so that is one day that I always look forward to because it is MLK Day, but because our Founders Day is right there close to it, and to see so many of our chapter members come together. And we actually usually have to split up in 3 different ways because we are usually doing multiple service projects on that day of service because it is such a huge thing for our sorority. So those are probably 2 of mine. And then we have Empowering Our Families, where they have mental health awareness underneath that umbrella, which is actually near and dear to my heart because I actually teach that from a nursing perspective. So whenever we do those types of things, I try to be present for it. And then we have an initiative under that umbrella about our seniors. And so actually, when I was in the Fort Mill chapter, loved that we actually did some care packages for some seniors at an assisted living facility in Fort Mill. And then we delivered those to those seniors. So love those kind of things. And those are the 2 that are probably nearest to my heart.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing. Danielle?
The 2 that are nearest are easy. The first one is Swim 1922. We have several Sigma Gamma Rhos that were Olympians that have come back and really championed this cause. The statistics of drowning among African American youth is extremely high. So with Swim 1922, it's an opportunity for members of the community to come to either the YMCA or local pool, receive information, a swim lesson, safety and basics. So that is amazing that we are one of the few sororities in that space. We do merchandise. I was like, yay, fellow merchandise. But another big one, we do St. Jude. We do the St. Jude walk, and it's one of our major partnerships. It's been one of the longest partnerships that we've had as an organization. So between St. Jude and Swim 1922, those are my 2 top. I do have to take a point of privilege and give a little, when you said you were the advisor of Xi Beta, when I was initiated into my sorority, there were only 2 of us on campus. And the person that helped me the most was the president of Xi Beta. Her name was Princess at that time. And
what was her name?
I think Princess Bethea.
Yeah.
But she just wrapped her arms, or you would have thought we were sisters. Around me, and all of Xi Beta just was like, they were so happy Sigma Gamma Rho was on campus. Do you need anything? Did you have this? Do you have this? And so when you said you were the advisor did the same thing, offered to help. And so I was thankful. So just special shout out to Xi Beta.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. And who has Asia? I think you're the last one to answer the question. Which service initiatives of our sorority either are your favorites or resonate with you, or just you want to speak about?
Yeah, so the one that resonates with me the most, we've already talked about, which is Delta Gems. Pouring into our youth, pouring into our girls specifically, having those multiple perspectives. But because we've already talked about that, I want to hit on 2 other ones. So my next one I would say that really touches my heart is our Delta Days, when we visit our national and our state capitals. And now we've even trickled it down to city council, actively hitting the streets like our founders did when it comes to things that comes, our politics and what really needs to happen. And our social action committee, even at a national level, they're always sending things out to us, letting us know what we need to do, call to action. And I appreciate that because I need to be told exactly what to do. Give me the script, give me, what needs to be said, but just kind of putting those spaces to get us seen. And so recently, from an example here in Camden, we went to our first city council meeting as a group. And it was just like, they're looking like all the red, because we're just wearing red. Not letters, but it was like, okay, well, it brings attention to the fact that we're in our community and, that we do care about what's happening in our local community. So that's one of my favorite initiatives right now. And also financial fortitude. So
Yes, I was going to say that. Yeah.
yes, financial fortitude is so important that we are pouring into our community as far as, economics. There's a lot of people and things that we just don't know. Speaking from a youth perspective, you may not know how to get a savings account. What is a 401k? Do I need a will? There's so many things that our community in particular just don't know. They don't have access to. So Delta does a really great job of offering programs across the spectrum, whether it's from budgeting to here in Camden, we have a wills clinic that we've worked with and helping people get those wills written. So those are two really standout ones that, I think are impacting our communities tremendously right now.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for sharing. And I'll just, to piggyback off of some of the things you were saying, Aja, I think my highlights or my favorite service initiatives will have to be social action oriented. And so to your point, when we were talking about conferences and conventions earlier, our sorority does Delta Days, as Asia mentioned, at the nation's capital, at the state capital. And then we too also, visit city council and school board. And so making sure that we as Black women are represented and at the table when a lot of these decisions are made about us and our families is definitely something that has always been a priority for me. So I've had the pleasure of attending DDN's that Delta Day at the nation's capital virtually a couple of times. And so would love to, that's on my bucket list to go in person. SARS who attend in person say that it too is amazing. And so we do a lot of work in the backgrounds. And so the work manifests in some of the initiatives that you all are hearing about, but the planning and the execution of those programs to serve really is at the hands of those who work in their local chapters. So thank you for sharing, Soros. And then I think we've kind of already touched on this one, but I kind of just wanted to talk about as sorority members, how we work together, how we in unity to make an impact in our local and international communities. So who would like to start there? I won't call anyone out, but if anyone would like to share about how we come together for certain causes.
I would like to start. It's crazy because I was just thinking about this I think about recently when Kamala Harris was running for president and how all the D9s were, although she's a member of AKA, all the D9s came together to, support, to do what we could to get the votes out there. So I think that was a really big one, especially for recently, but just working together. Although it's different organizations, we're still D9 sisters, D9, a D9 family. So we can joke here and there, but at the end of the day, we all do community service and we are doing it together. And I think that's awesome.
That's right.
That's an excellent example, Regina. That's probably one of the better ones. Thinking up large scale of where we absolutely did. I mean, there were videos. There were, encouraging us to show up at the polls. Some of us wore our letters when we voted, and so that I think that is just one example of how powerful we can be when we unify, and the cause in and of itself, just justify us coming together. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else would like to share?
I do. When we had from a sorority stand base, we had the issue with Sandra Bland, and every D9 organization just helping on behalf of advocacy, her family, anything that our sorority kind of needed that comfort for, D9 was there. And that was absolutely legislative too. And a lot of even the fraternities would partner with us in doing workshops for police stops and proper protocols and things of that nature as a result. So that's when I really saw us really come together, of course, with around Sandra Bland, and then voting, strolling to the polls. That's just was absolutely great. There was a video put out with all of us together, and we looked like a mighty force, and that's what each one of our organizations are. So those are my two.
Thank you for sharing, Danielle. Amazing. Asia or Melody, would you all like to contribute?
I just love when there's opportunities for us to partner together, because as individual as we are literally doing the same thing in different ways, right? And so I think it's great for those who are not part of our respective organizations, to see that when the purpose is there and we have a goal, a common goal, we will work together and get it done, regardless of what colors we're wearing. The D9 will unite and say, you know what, this is bigger than any one organization. We have to use all of the force of all of us to get this done. And so, even locally, yearly, we started doing, or I'm not sure if we've done it in recent years, but Rolling in Rock Hill, where all of the organizations were assigned a house to paint. We still had our houses, or we would partner up, one sorority, one fraternity, and do that on a regular basis. But I love the examples that Danielle and Regina shared that were kind of on a national scale, that people could see how we are still really one community with just separate colors. Yes, kudos to MPHC of Rock Hill. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes. Thank you, Melody. Asia, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I just, just to kind of highlight what everyone else has said there, we all have the same common ground, the same kind of where we're coming from this, and that's sisterhood, togetherness, and serving our community. So at the end of the day, when it comes to doing just that, we're able to come together. And I think sometimes from the outside looking in, people may think, oh, there's beef, there's problems, we hate each other. It's that opposite of that, like, we are so, together. We have different colors. We have different things that we may do and say. But again, our ultimate goal is still the same thing. So like you've all said, when the need comes to come together, we do it. Even when the need isn't there, I can pick up the phone, make a call. We have friends. We have sisters who are in the same organization. It doesn't change anything. So we all have that same common ground, those same similar values. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. And to piggyback, I think I saw Tiffany mention MPHC of Rock Hill. So for all of our sororities are part of what's called National Panhellenic Council, as are the fraternities. And so on a national level, our chapter international presidents, or bossalists, as you all refer to them, they actually meet as a council. And so it is, when it comes to major national events, such as the ones Regina and Danielle mentioned, our leaders come together and they roll out things in our individual sororities, and we do stand. It's not, to Asia's point, it doesn't even matter, who's leading, or if the purpose is there. It typically comes from our international leadership team. And so that is one thing I've always loved to see. I love to see it when I'm at the convention and we have our opening meeting, and all of the presidents, international presidents and vice are there to give greetings from their organizations. So it is a lot of love between the organizations. And I'm glad you brought that up, Asia, because I know that sometimes, especially at the collegiate level, we'll be a little petty, or we might joke at each other. I have lots of AKA friends, and when I was in college, we did it. But at the end of the day, our purpose is what we stand on: serving others and uniting. And so I did want to make sure that people who are not as familiar with sororities and fraternities know that there is an official umbrella that we all fall under, and it's called the National Panhellenic Council, NPHC. And we have a Rock Hill chapter that's led by Sharon Wallace. Shout out to Sharon for holding it down for so many years. Danielle Soar, she's a member of Sigma Rho Sorority Incorporated. And so, and I think we have Greek Week coming up in a couple of weeks. There was just the Greek Games last Saturday, but typically NPHC Greek Weeks typically falls at the end of June. If I'm misspeaking, somebody in the chat can correct me because I haven't seen anything, but that is typically what we do. So we do come together for fun, local programming, and internationally when the need arises. And for our final thought, I wanted to just ask you ladies, so what about your community involvement outside of sorority? So kind of, I guess the underlying question is, how has being in your sorority been able to kind of groom you to lead in other spaces? I guess is the sub question. So Danielle, I'll start with you.
It grew me very quickly, similar to Aja when I came on campus, and it was two of us. So I held several roles from basilisk all the way down in membership intake chair. So there wasn't much of a choice. You had to step into leadership. You had to know protocol. You had to know parliamentarian procedures. You still weren't allowed to slip. You still had to, even though it was only two of us when I came in. That is nowhere near the case now. Woo! But that's what it was then. And that translated into leadership at a very young age in the classroom. So I was maybe 21 and I was the department chair of the history department and really leading people that had been in education for a long time. So I was young, but I had the skills because I had to have them because I was groomed. Also, community service initiative wide, it's often, we're the last created but best designed. So sometimes it was hard to be everywhere, but it taught me time management and really reaching out to, you're just not your chapter, you are an organization. So if we were doing something, I had to call the Clemson girls. We need y'all up here. We need a presence. We're doing this big, we need y'all to help paint, Rolling in Rock Hill because it's only one of us. And so those are the big things that I love and what kind of groomed me for the district teacher of the year, being the trailblazer. It's kind of like, I'm walking in the way of my sorors, or being and really stepping up when everybody says no and when it seems impossible. So that it's taught me a lot.
Nice. Thank you, Danielle. What about you, Regina?
Kind of to piggyback off of what Danielle and Asia said, came in, we had to get right to it. There was no not being a leader. Everybody had to play a role. Everybody had a position. You had to learn very quickly. So getting those leadership skills, especially be kind of young. I was the youngest one on in my intake class in the chapter. So I had to grow up. I couldn't have while I had those leadership skills from, my parents and being in high school and school or whatever, but it was on a different level. So now in the classroom as a substitute teacher, as a summer camp counselor, I'm over the youth at my church. So that's a big aspect as to, making sure tasks are being done, everything is organized. Woo, yeah, it got to be done. We got to be done. Got to be done.
I love it. Thank you, Regina. Melody, what about you?
And so I really feel that when I joined AKA, it kind of reignited my leadership bug, right? Because I had been in leadership roles in high school, in college, in graduate schools, and organizations. And so it kind of gave me, reignited my fire for wanting to lead and serve, to be honest. And so after a few years, I actually branched out and wanted to see if there were any other community service, volunteering organizations that might be a good fit for me. And so I even ended up joining the Junior League of Charlotte, which is an organization that's totally based on volunteerism. And they're always out in the community serving and partnering with a lot of different children's organizations. Like Promising Pages, Kids in the Kitchen, was able to attend their Leadership Development Institute, which was an amazing experience for me as a member of the Junior League of Charlotte, and then also was able to go back the following year and serve on the Leadership Development Institute committee to help actually develop the LDI for the next group. And so that was something that I was able, when I went to the Junior League of Charlotte, I will tell you the AKA had already prepared me for Robert's Rules of Order. So I was able to go to my first meeting and say, oh, I know what we're doing here. Because, being an AKA was the first time that I had been in an organization that literally followed Robert's Rules of Order. And when I tell you that, people might minimize it, but knowing how to run a meeting effectively and efficiently and orderly is a skill that takes time to develop, right? And so I've even been able to use what AKA gave me via Robert's Rules on my professional jobs when we're having faculty meetings, because we're also using Robert's Rules of Orders. And to see the most of my colleagues don't even know what it is. And so here I am saying, it's not how we make a motion. Can I give y'all a cheat sheet? I'm sharing the Robert's Rule of Order cheat sheets with my colleagues, because they are not, if you're not in these types of organizations, you don't even know what Robert's Rules of Order is, right? And so I definitely took that with me, and then now I get to use it also in Jack and Jill, in the unparalleled Upper Palmetto chapter of Jack and Jill of America. So there's skills that can transfer to different service organizations, and so I just love that for all of us.
Yeah, for sure. Asia, do you have anything to add?
To sum up what everyone said, if you can lead a Greek letter organization, you can do just about anything. So I'm just saying. But yeah, it's just that. It just leads to, you have these networks. I think it all goes back to that. You know what's out there. You know there's a need. So, Delta has led me to a lot of the community service that I do, or even the want and the need to do that. It's a part of who we are. That's why we join these organizations. So instead of it becoming something or being something that just, I might serve my community every now and then, like, it's really who I am. And I do put a lot of that to my organization. So it translates in a lot of different places and a lot of different spaces. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Asia. And I think to y'all's point, for sure, it has definitely taught me Robert's Rules of Order, effective meeting management, just how to be a professional, in my opinion. And so I think when you do that alongside your career and when you're doing it at work, to Melody's point, you do find yourself in situations where you might be the expert on parliamentary procedure or time management or how to create an effective agenda. And it actually ended up, I don't know if it was working in my favor or working against me. When I joined, was appointed to the City of Rock Hill Citizen Review Board. When my first meeting, I'm doing the parliamentary procedure thing, and they were all like, "Oh my God, you're good. We think you should be vice chair." And I was like, "Wait a minute, hold on, that's not nobody ran that by me. Y'all just gonna sit in a meeting." And yeah, so sometimes you might, lesson learned though. Next time I'm invited in a different space, I'm not gonna say as much. And so, but to your point, to all of y'all's point though, it's a good and bad thing. It's helped us mold us into the professionals probably that we are, and to be able to be in these other spaces.
Speaking of molding and Robert's Rule of Order, as a result of the Arcanets and organizations like the Delta Gyms and the Rowers, my daughter is the recording secretary for the Rowers. So she had to go to a conference. She had to know how to properly second a motion. And she is 13, and
I
she
love
is
it.
now moving in those spaces already because
I
she was
love that.
expected to present at a plenary session. I just was like, oh girl, at 12, 13, I was running around, and she's on the computer making slide decks for the
Oh
rowers. So
my God.
it's
I'm
those
scared of her.
organizations, that the affiliate ones too, and our junior ones, that
Yeah.
help with that professionalism that can carry in.
I
Yeah.
love that.
That is
That's
amazing.
awesome.
That is amazing, and
Yes.
that's a great point, Danielle. We do it as members of the sororities, but our affiliate or youth organizations also, we're teaching the next generation how to be professionals, work with others, work on teams, learn parliamentary procedure. Like it is all nothing but good comes out of the things that we do, both again internationally on a grander
Absolutely.
scale and locally. So thank you for pointing that out. All right, ladies. I think we are to the point where we will start wrapping up the show. At this point, I just wanted to ask you all if you all had any final thoughts that you would like to share with the audience about your experience in your sororities. And we'll go. I'm losing track at this point. So, Asia, do you want to start?
Oh, sure. Put me on the first for wrapping up. No. My closing comments would just be, we've mentioned a lot of things. I hope that people take away from this that being in a Greek letter organization is something, that should be personal to you. Because
Yep.
at the end of the day, it is a big part of, working, and it's a lifetime commitment. All of our organizations, I'm sure, have that same spiel at the beginning and through the end. And so just consider those things. Do your research, like they've already said. Delta Sigma Theta is a great organization. It's put so many things into my life and so many people into my life where I could never say thank you enough. And I hope that the legacy that my mom and the people in my life have passed on to me, I hope to continue to pass it on to my daughter and set her up for even better opportunities than it set me up from at this point. So yeah, that's
Very
my wrap up.
nice. Thank you, Asia. What about you, Danielle?
She said it all, but if I could leave with anything to know about Greek organizations, is we are our sister's keeper. And some of us know that in poetry, or some of us know that in different avenues. And it's very important to keep that in front and to cover everything: greater service, greater progress. I love Sigma Gamma Rho, and it is not only about what it did for me, but what I can do for the organization. So
Absolutely.
I'm appreciative and honored to be able to follow in the steps of the legacy that was created. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Regina, your final
They said it
closing
all.
thoughts.
They have said it all.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. Like, just continue wanting to continue the legacy. Even from, like I said, my mom. I even think about other sorors that have impacted my life. One particular triumphant soror, Juanita Totley, from a young girl, that was a big one. So even to mentors in college, even mentors now, the opportunities is it's a blessing, honestly. It's something that I feel great to be a part of, to give back to the community, as we're a community conscious action oriented organization. That's what we stand for. That is what we are, and that's what we strive to do in every aspect of business, within our sorority. And I love that. And thank you for having me on today.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing, and you're welcome. Thank you for being with us. And Melody, what about your closing thoughts?
Oh, well, I would hope that anyone that has joined us this evening, if nothing else, has heard how our love for service and sisterhood is at the forefront of everything that we do. Okay, in all of our respective organizations. And, we serve all mankind. an AKA. So it's not just this local group, it's not just that local group, it's all mankind. And so it's a very wide reach that we have to enact all of the things that our international office has laid out for us. And by doing that, we have the opportunity and the privilege of bonding with our sisters and getting to know different people and network with different people locally, regionally, and nationally. And so it really is a gift, an honor and a privilege to be a part of our respective organizations. And I am definitely blessed. I don't take it for granted at all. And I hope that, those that are watching can see that how much it has positively impacted our lives. And I thank you so much for having me, Dr. Martin. I appreciate the invitation.
You are welcome, Melody. Thank you for joining us. And I guess for my final closing comments, I will, number one, thank you, ladies, for being a part of this. As I mentioned, when I was asked to host this show, I reached out to you all and you all said yes. And you all were very receptive of the emails and the text message reminders that I sent to you all to make this happen. Also want to thank Everett Abel, who's in the background, who had this idea and made this show happen. So thank you, Everett. And one of the things I want to say about my experience as a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is that it has made me a better professional, a better mom. It has taught me how to balance my life. It's taught me life skills because, as Asia said, everything we do within our sororities is volunteer. And some of us, myself, have had 2-3 jobs during the times while I have maintained my service to the sorority. Because to Danielle's point, and this is one of my favorite Bible verses as well, to whom much is given, much is required. And so that is a mantra that I have chosen to live by. Delta has taught me so much that now, I'm serving in other spaces. But at the end of the day, our sisterhood is one that has truly added value to my life. And so I just thank you all for watching. And for paying attention and listening to all of the things we wanted to say about our sororities, because at the end of the day, our experience is our experience, and our sororities and fraternities do a lot of good in the world. And so we just wanted to kind of highlight some of that. And we hope you all have a good night and a great week. So right. You have something that you want to say, don't you, Melody?
No, you got to tell them about the next session for the fraternities.
Yes, thank you. I forgot to add that to my run of show. So yes. This is why 5 heads are better than one. So right. We hope you guys come back and join us for part 2 of the Fraternity Edition, which will be held Sunday, June the 22nd. At 7:30 p.m. here on Higher Definition Radio. And so thank you all again for having us, Higher Definition. And with that, we'll say good evening and stay blessed.
Thank you all.